Okay. If someone pops on, let me know if you can hear me. Please. And we're going to see about our light situation. I'm going to be blinded by that. I do have one of my box lights on, but I kind of don't think I need it right now. I might in a second. Oh, this is funny. I have it pulled up on my computer right next to me so I can see and make sure I'm actually on here. Hi, guys. Nikki, Taylor, Kate, Dave, Laura. Okay, I need confirmation. Can you hear me? Matt, thanks, honey. You guys are so good. Hi, Nikki. Yay! Oh, this is fun. I do get to like see you guys and interact with you. My light's in the way. We're just gonna move that over here, shall we? Hi, Dave. Hi, Lindsay. Yay, Tiffany. Oh, guys, this is actually really exciting. This is really fun. I'm gonna do this more often, even when we can meet in person. Super fun. Okay, I'm gonna go gather the rest of my belongings. My head might just be cut off. We're gonna have to see how this goes. But can I hear Matt? No, Matt, I can't hear you. You're doing such a good job at being quiet. This was our fear. No, my sweet, wonderful man. You know, violinist and a percussionist, we make two different levels of noise. And I'm not usually a high and squeaky type, but he has been excellent. Best fiance ever. There we go. You can see my head. You can mostly see my feet. When we go down onto the ground, I might actually just tip the camera because we're working with what we got. That's Nikki's not actually participating, but this is awesome. Thanks. I'm trying. Thanks for the mic pack, Laura. It's coming in really. All right, guys, I'm going to grab my blocks. If you have blocks and you want to use them for this practice, go right ahead. I have a band right now instead of a towel. All right, so gather any stuff if you want it. If you have hips and you know that, feel free to grab a towel or a blanket. You can hold it up and set it on the floor. You can grab a pillow to put it on the floor. It might help for when you're seated. It might help for when you're on your back. You just might end up being more comfortable. So, and since this is being recorded, you guys can come back and watch this later. I'm going to leave it on my page. So, welcome. Free gift amid the COVID-19 shenanigans. So, all right. We'll go ahead and get started then, I think. 31. And if the mic pack cuts out, I have my shirt kind of pulled around it, so it's entirely possible. I apologize. Hopefully this you can hear better than from, that is a bright light, my phone. Mom, can you make me a curtain? That might be great. All right. I can no longer see you guys typing, so Matt, if my sound goes out, you come up and knock on the door, okay? We're going to see if Miko cannot interrupt for an hour or so. All right. Go ahead and take a tall, comfortable seat when you're ready. Hands can rest onto the tops of your legs. Closing your eyes. And feel where your hips, your legs, your ankles land into the floor. And start to feel the breath into your abdomen. As you inhale, expand forwards. Expand into the lowest portion of the rib cage as you breathe in. And as you exhale, picture the breath moving back up and out through your nose, tracing the path of the breath. Inhales down into the abdomen. Exhales back up and out through the nose. Slowing the breath, let it take a little longer on each half. Slower inhale, slower exhale, more relaxed. And just letting yourself land from your day, whatever you've been doing. If you've been wandering around the house, if you just got home, let yourself just be here and be present. If you'd like, setting an intention for your practice, something to help combat the chaos of this time. The chaos of overstimulation, of uncertainty, feeling especially grounded, calm, and stable throughout this practice. If your mind starts to wander during your practice, I'm going to come back to your intention or come back to any awareness of the breath moving down into the abdomen, or if you'd prefer, a single point of breath at the navel, the throat, maybe just in and out of the nose, whatever makes sense for you. Bow your head to your chest to seal in your intention. And we're going to go ahead and start on our back. Remove any props out of the way if you need to. And releasing onto the back, take the arms down on either side of the torso to start. Bring your feet. And on your next inhale, just with the hips for now. Inhale, raise the hips away from the floor. Raise through hip points, hip creases, tops of the legs. Keep a little strength back into the navel. Exhale, release the spine, the hips back to the floor. Inhale, raise hip points, hip creases, tops of the legs. Exhale, release the spine, release the hips back to the floor. We'll do 2 more just like that, just the hips, just the tops of the legs. Whole length of breath. We'll do 3 more on your own here. And 2 more. While I check and make sure we're still good. We are still good. After your next one, after your third, go ahead and release down. We're going to take the arms out to the sides and walk your feet a little wider than the hips. As you exhale, release the knees to the left. Windshield wiper shape. Let right knee hang toward left foot. Inhale, point the knees back up. Release the knees to the right. Left knee may hang toward right foot. Inhale to lift up. Knees left. Exhale. And point back up. And knees to the right. Point the knees up. Walk the feet back to hip width. Cross the right ankle over the top of your left thigh. We're going to come into figure 4. Do try to make sure that the left knee and the left hip are fairly lined up. So we're not trying to take the knee into the sternum, but the knee more over left chest and left shoulder. If you'd like, take the hands around left hamstring and head back. Once we have that bind, we should start to feel something through the outside of the hip, maybe the outside of the leg, even in the knee is possible. Breathing here. And as we land in a couple poses for a few breaths, if you do find the mind wandering again, please come back to your intention or come back to an awareness of breath and keep the mind here. Switching sides, plant the left foot, right foot. Cross the left ankle over right thigh. Staying here, or if you'd like, pick up right foot. Right knee moves shoulder. Left knee is actively moving away from left shoulder. Wants to kind of scrunch, Keep both hips pressing away from both shoulders. Each side of the torso even. And release right foot and left back to the floor. From here, bring the knees up into your chest, and you can come up however way you'd like. You can roll to a side, or you can rock up, and we'll come back into a tall seat here. Hands rest onto the knees, sitting tall. And come back to that slow, even breath once again. If we lost it, always trying to connect back to it, even if the speed or the shape of the breath changes. Simply being aware can do a whole lot for the mind, a whole lot for our energy, especially our presence. And from here, go ahead and shift forwards onto hands and knees. Come into tabletop, please. Hands below shoulders, knees below hips. As you inhale, lift the chest to cow pose. Draw the navel toward the floor, but at the same time, keep a bit of strength here. As you exhale, round to cat, hug the navel toward the spine. So we can keep that strength. Inhale, heart forwards. Cat pose. Exhale, round, navel back toward the spine. Inhale, back to cow pose. And we'll tuck the toes and move back to down dog. Feet can stay hip width. They might need to walk wider. They might need to walk closer to your hands. Pressing the chest back toward the tops of the legs. And we can pedal the feet a little bit, or we can continue to keep the legs still. On your inhale, knees back to the floor, cow pose. Lift the chest, shoulders back, making sure we're not scrunching the ears or the neck. Cat pose, round, exhale, navel hugs up. Inhale, back to cow. And we'll release back to child's pose, resting here for a couple breaths. Feel where your shins land into the floor. Feel where the navel lands into the tops of the legs. And from here, walk the hands over toward the left side of your mat. Curve long through the whole right side. So like our figure 4, being able to keep right hip away from right shoulder. Head could land onto the floor, or it might stay a little lifted between the arms. And walk the hands over to the right side of your mat, curving through the opposite side. Left side lengthens from left hip to left hand. Hands back to the center, child's pose. Inhale forwards, cow pose again, shoulders back, chest open. Cat pose, round, exhale. Back to cow pose. And tuck the toes back to down dog. Again, we might need to adjust our feet from our tabletop or from eventually in plank. And we'll walk the feet forwards. Come into a forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale to a half lift. Chest forwards and open, shoulders back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little bend in the knees. Raise all the way up, hands overhead. And hands to heart center. We'll take 2 sun L's. Inhale, raise the arms. Forward fold. And half lift. Fold, plant the hands, step your right leg back into a kneeling lunge. And if you're on a hard surface, we can take an extra towel or blanket or fold the side of your mat in so the knee has 2 layers. Inhale, raise the torso away from left leg. Pull the navel with it so we're not back bending and slumping, but staying back through right hip. Exhale, elbows wide, open the chest. Inhale to raise up. Hands left foot. We're going to add on to our sun L. We'll take kneeling pyramid, walking the hands back. Or if you'd like, if it's not comfortable to make it to the floor, we can take hands to the blocks, Mine have teeth marks in it from the cat. Starting to straighten the left knee, hips back, somewhere over right knee or right calf. But if you feel yourself falling back or sitting back, go ahead and come forward so we can fold forward instead of back toward the right leg. And bend back into the left knee. You can walk hands or blocks forward, set them off to the side. Straighten the right knee off the floor. Inhale, left leg back to three-legged dog. Down dog, release to the floor. Your choice of vinyasa, or if you'd like to skip the vinyasa, we can hang out in down dog, locust, or come back up to the top. Inhale, plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, lower. Take your choice, your back bend, shoulder blades into the back for low cobra or high cobra. Exhale, back to down dog. The feet forwards, come into a forward fold, back at the top. Inhale, half lift, shoulder blades back. Exhale, fold. Raise all the way up, hands overhead. Hands back to heart center, other side, same series. Inhale, raise up. Exhale, fold. Back to half lift. Fold, plant the hands, step your left leg back into kneeling lunge. Inhale, raise the torso, raise the arms, pull the navel away from the right leg. Elbows wide, exhale, open the chest, leaning back into left hip flexor. Raise up. Hands land down around right foot. And again, we can grab our blocks or hands to the floor. Walk the blocks back, start to move the hips back, starting to straighten right knee as you fold forwards. Again, we can adjust the length of the stance, kneeling lunge, or any of our standing poses. And if you don't have blocks, you could use a book. You could even use, though it would be squishy, a throw pillow, a rolled up towel, a rolled up blanket, whatever helps you decrease the distance between your hands and the floor. Go ahead and bend back into the right knee. Blocks, hands walk forwards, off to the side. Straighten left knee off the ground, right leg back to three-legged dog. And down dog, release. A vinyasa of your choice if you'd like to take one. Plank or kneeling plank. Lower, your preferred back bend, up dog or low cobra. Navel strong to move back to down dog. And walk the feet forwards, back to forward fold. Inhale, half lift, shoulders back. Forward fold. Raise all the way up, hands overhead. And hands to heart center. From here, shift your weight into just the left leg. So we can tap onto right big toe to kind of help make a kickstand at first. If you'd like, bring the right knee all the way up toward the height of the hip. Just testing, playing with our balance here. Odette would always say, why can I balance in the middle of my bathroom and I can't balance with you in class? Well, today you're in the comfort of your own home. So if you're next to a wall, use it. If you have a counter, kind of test it, play with it, and release the right foot back to the floor. Shift weight into right foot, right leg. Bend the left knee up toward the height of the hip, or just play with it. Tap the left big toe instead, and bring most of the weight into right leg. Still breathing, core helps. Shoulders back, jaw soft. And release the left foot back to the floor. Go ahead and take hands to hips. Step your left leg back. Come into warrior one. Hips forwards. Heels can be in their own lanes. Inhale to raise the arms up overhead. As you inhale next time, straighten your right knee, release the arms. Exhale, same energy as our kneeling lunge. Bend into the right knee, arms raised, navel strong. Inhale, release out. Exhale, bend back in. Inhale out. Bend back in to stay in. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. Gaze forward, set something nondescript on the floor, maybe the wall in front of you, something you can soften into. I'm trying to embody your intention in this pose. It's a very strong pose, but we can find calm in this strength. We can find joy, maybe, depending on how your hands are shaped. And next exhale, fold, hands down around right foot. Take your back heel off the floor. We might need to lengthen our stance a little bit, and we're going to come into revolved runner's lunge. Left hand stays to the floor or onto a block, a book, a can of soup. Hand to right hip, or if you'd like, all the way up so the chest is spinning in the same direction as this right leg. Notice if you're dumping into the shoulder, try to keep the lift, keeping length, expansion through all limbs, all sides. And release right hand back to the floor. Block off to the side. Step. We might need to wiggle the toes forwards and take a big step forwards, forward fold. Half lift. Interlace hands behind the back or grab a towel, grab a strap, grab a sock, a t-shirt. Fold forwards. Knees can bend as hands raise away from the low back. Next, inhale back to a half lift. Release your strap or towel. Forward fold. Little bend in the knees. Raise all the way up. Hands overhead. And hands to heart center. Take your hands back to the hips. And from here, step back with your right leg to warrior one. Inhale, raise the arms up. Stay to breathe here. Navel back, bringing the stretch into right hip. And on your inhale, release out. Straighten the left knee, lower the arms. Exhale, navel strong, bend in. Left knee bends, arms raise. Inhale, release out. Exhale, bend in. Inhale, release. And bend in. Once more, release out. And bend in to stay in. Breathing here, shoulders soft. Jaw soft. Enough strength into the legs that we're not pressing wide into the mat. Try to pull your legs toward one another, slightly activating the inside of the legs. And from here, fold, hands down around the left foot. Back heel can come off, coming into runner's lunge, and then revolved runner's lunge if you'd like. Grab a support underneath right hand. This helps so we're not scrunching and rounding toward the floor if our hips are far away from the floor. The closer the hips get, the farther the feet are, the more the chest is allowed to open forwards instead of round just trying to make it to the ground. So grab a block if you need to. Left hand to hip or all the way up. Again, we're twisting the chest in the direction of the front leg, pressing back through right heel, up through left hand, and forward through the crown of the head. And release left hand back to the floor. Block can set off to the side. Take a couple hops forwards or a giant step forwards. Half lift, interlace your hands, your fingers the opposite way, or grab our towel again. Exhale, fold, hands, towel raises away from the low back, torso toward the tops of the legs. We can bend the knees as much as you'd like. The straighter the legs, the more the spine has to curve. If we bend the knees, the torso is allowed to release a little bit more towards the tops of the legs. And inhale back to a half lift. Release hands or towel. And fold forwards. Raise all the way up. Hands overhead. Hands to heart center. And take the hands to the hips. Step back. I'm stepping back with my right leg. We're going to call this right leg the back leg. Depending on which way you're facing, it might be your right, might be your left. So just remember which side you did and make sure you end up doing both sides. We'll take our wide leg fold first. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, arms wide to wide leg fold, tipping the weight toward the ball of the foot and your toes. So the backs of the legs have to turn on to prevent you from tipping forwards. Our weight is going forwards, not back into the heels, but into the toes. Can always take a little bend in the knees, especially if they like to hyperextend. If they like to lock, keep a soft bend. And on your next inhale, come into a wide leg half lift. Left hand to the floor or block or something. Right hand to hip, roll the chest open toward right leg or back leg. Arm extended up. Try to draw right ribs back so the navel stays strong, or we're not twisting, pulling into a back bend. Strong line from base of spine to crown. And release right hand back onto the floor, block or prop. Left hand to left hip, roll the chest open toward left leg, front leg. Left arm can extend up. Again, we're not trying to reach back, but stay straight up and tall. Out through the base of the spine, crown of the head, and left hand. Release left hand back to the floor, back to our wide leg fold. Hands can walk back between the feet if you'd like, or stay more forward in front of the toes. Inhale back to our wide leg half lift. Little bend in the knees again if they're bent backwards, if they're hyperextending. Hands to the front of the hips. Let the legs be on their own and stand all the way up. From here, right leg, back leg. It's going to pivot toward the back of the mat. Shrug your left heel back slightly, and we'd like heels to be a little bit wider so that they're in their own lanes. They can be very narrow lanes, but still in their own lanes. Inhale the arms up. As you exhale, reach right arm, back arm, toward back leg, right leg for triangle pose. Left ribs hug in, similar to our twist, so we're not back bending, keeping rib cage into the abdomen. And if you'd like, we can also set the hand to a block here. We could even bend the knee if this is much more comfortable variation. Little combo of side angle and triangle, wherever you'd like to be. And bend back into the right leg, back leg. Go ahead and stand up to warrior two. Chest, right knee toward the back of the mat. And return the hands to the hips, flip the feet back to our wide leg stance. We'll pivot to the other side, so we might need to step the feet a little wider. Left toes toward the front of your mat. Right heel shrugs back slightly for triangle. Arms lift up. Exhale, reach forward. Left hand onto left shin. Block or ground right ribs in slightly. And bend back into the left knee, front knee, stand up to warrior two. Breathing here, navel draws back like we did in the beginning in our bridge, in our warrior one. Return the hands to the hips, flip the feet, toes in front of the heels, and from here we're going to step back up to the top of the mat. Weight even between both feet, again revisiting our balance pose, hands to the hips. Shift your weight into the left leg. Bend right knee up toward the height of the hip, or keep that big toe tapped if that is where you'd like to stay for today. If you'd like to add on, start to straighten the right leg. So as you straighten, you might notice that the leg wants to drop, and that's okay. If you'd like to keep it bent, that's also fine. Working toward lifting through the top of the leg hip flexor, not leaning back, but staying tall, falling into the wall. And bend the knee, release back to the floor. Weight into right foot, right leg. Bend the left knee up toward the height of the hip, or keep that big toe tapped. If you'd like, add on by straightening left leg, lifting through the top of the leg. We might shake a little, it might be extra challenging. And release out. Feet back to hip width. Inhale, arms up overhead. Fold, plant the hands. From here, step back with your left leg for warrior one. Hips forwards again. We came into this from standing earlier. Lift up, adjust the feet, adjust the hips if you need to. Again, making sure we're not dumping into the low back curve, but tipping the pelvis downward slightly, bringing strength into the abdomen. This may stretch left hip flexor a little more than it was. And from here, fold hands down around the right foot. You can come around the foot itself, or if you'd like, onto blocks. Keep the fold, keep the torso on or toward right leg, and start to move the hips back. Don't worry about how straight the leg gets, how far we fold. Start to straighten only, and see how that feels in the leg. I know some of you have tried to straighten the leg first, and it feels like we're trying to get to the floor and the spine rounds, and we just can't get there. Bending the knee and moving back will keep it into the hamstring instead of possibly sending it into the low back. And from here, I'll bring the left hand or left block or prop inside right foot for a revolved triangle. So like our revolved runner's lunge, different shape in the legs. Right hand to right hip. You can roll the chest open, extending right arm up or keeping it to the hip. And like our figure 4, notice if your hips want to wonk off to the side. Try to sit right hip back. Keep the right side long, sitting toward the back of the mat, instead of off to the side, escaping the stretch. We'd like it to be there. And release. Hands back around right foot. Can bend into the knee for our lunge. Blocks to the side. Step straight back to plank or a kneeling plank. And we'll lower all the way down to the floor, coming into a locust pose. Hands back around the hips. Hover the chest, arms, and legs. Pull back through the shoulder blades so the heads of the shoulders are not facing the floor but rolling into the back. Release hands back around rib cage, tuck the toes, back to down dog. Adjusting the feet if you need to, if the first shape you landed in is not the pose you need to be in. Walk, step, or hop forwards, back to the top of your mat. Half lift. Exhale, fold. Raise all the way up, hands overhead. Hands to heart center. Inhale, raise the arms, other side. Fold. Half lift. Fold, plant the hands right leg back into our warrior 1. Hips forward again, raising up, bring the navel back, bringing the stretch into right hip flexor. Soft breath. And exhale, fold, hands down around left foot, floor, or blocks. Again, keeping the torso on or toward left leg for pyramid. Start to move the hips back, start to straighten left knee, but keep our fold. Notice if your left hip wants to go off to the side. Keep left hip sitting back. Right side of the torso strong, left side of the torso lengthening back. And from here, right hand or block inside left foot for revolved triangle. Left hand to the hip, rolling the chest open. If you'd like, if it's okay in the shoulder and the neck, we can extend left arm up. Again, check in with left hip. Right hip forwards. Strengthening from right hip to right shoulder. Length from left shoulder to left hip. Release left hand back down. Blocks can come to the side. Back into our runner's lunge. And step left leg straight back to plank or kneeling. Lower all the way down, landing. Locust pose again if you'd like. Oop, getting tangled. We can interlace hands for bound locust or grab our towel, strap, or sock again. And release back down, coming into shoulder roll, most people's favorite. Extend your right arm straight out to the side, and I might be off camera here, so those of you who are familiar with shoulder roll, please feel free. Those of you who do not like it or would like a different stretch that is beneficial any time of day, accessible any time of day, extend the right arm out, and with the toes pointed toward the wall at first, then start to turn away from your arm. So we can do this into the floor, we can do it on a wall, we can do it onto a door frame. And we'll switch sides. If we're in shoulder roll, go ahead and extend the left arm out to the side. Start to roll on to left hip. Right knee could point up, right arm could reach back, or keep the left arm into the wall if we chose to do it on the wall or a door. We don't want to feel any tingling, no numbness. Just making sure we're feeling through the entire inside of the right shoulder, left shoulder, left chest. You may feel it a couple different places. And like most poses, we could feel this at a different place depending on what you do, depending on how your body just naturally is. Go ahead and come back out. We'll come into a wide leg child's pose, whether you were standing, whether you were on the floor. Check and make sure we're good. We're still good. All right, wide leg child's pose, knees wider than rib cage. I'm new to this live streaming. I keep feeling like my phone's gonna just betray me. All right, and the opposite of our shoulder roll, lift the chest away from the floor. We'll take a relaxed variation of thread the needle. If you'd like, you could bring the knees closer or keep them wide. Take the right arm underneath left shoulder. Right cheek or temple can land to the ground. Breathing into the outside of right shoulder, shoulder blade, maybe outside of the arm. And switch, right arm forward, left arm under right shoulder, other side, left cheek or temple could land to the ground. And rebuild back up onto hands and knees. Walk the knees back below the hips. And we'll tuck the toes back to down dog. And walk the feet forwards, back to forward fold. Half lift. Forward fold. Raise all the way up, hands overhead. Hands to heart center. One last balance with a little bit of a hip addition, hip bonus. Weight into left leg, bend right knee up toward the height of the hip. Crossing right ankle over the top of left thigh. You can grab a wall, you can grab a couch, grab a chair. We will be coming to the floor in a moment to do figure 4 again. If you want to go there early, feel free. And standing up, float the right knee, release right foot back to the floor. Weight shifts into right leg, bend the left knee up toward the height of the hip. Balance first, and then take left ankle over right thigh, sitting back. Left knee and left hip toward the floor as well, trying to not shorten, just like our pyramid or revolve triangle. And we'll stand up, float the left knee, and release left foot back to the floor. All right, we're going to come down onto the ground, and I'm going to tip my phone just slightly. Make sure we can see the ground. All right. If you'd like to, you can sit your hips onto a rolled up towel or blanket. I have a cushion. I think I'm not going to use it for now. But if you'd like to, if you find that when you try to sit up straight, you're always kind of rounded, try to really hinge from the hips in our folds, any folds, but seated especially a little extra challenging. Don't mind my pile of props over there. Legs wide, take the hands behind the hips and lift tall. From here, start to lean forwards, folding from the navel, from the hip joints. We can stay here if you'd like. Walk the hands farther out in front, using the hands to prevent you from folding any farther, or pull the chest forwards a little more. And go ahead and sit up. Bring your right foot inside your left thigh. And again, I'm unsure which is right, left, front, back. So remember which side and do the opposite. Twist to the back of the mat, left hand to right knee. Sitting tall. Try to not lean, but keep both hips into the floor. And twist only from the spine, not from the hips. And keep the chest open toward your bent knee. Head turns towards straight leg. Left arm on or inside straight leg and reach right arm up and over. If this is uncomfortable in the shoulder and the neck, we can keep the hand to the head just gently. We can drape the arm behind the back or leave the hand on the leg, but do make sure we're still opening through the chest and not closing or turning toward the floor. And sit back up and we'll switch legs. Right leg out, back leg out, opposite leg. We'll take our twist first. Right hand to left knee, perhaps. Turn the chest in the direction of the bent leg. Keeping right hip, straight leg hip onto the floor, not leaning away. And turn the head towards straightened leg. I am all tangled here. Right arm on or inside the leg, sliding down toward the foot. Keep the chest open. Left arm can extend. Go to the head. Go behind the back, wherever you are comfortable. Keeping left knee, left hip relaxed. And go ahead and sit back up. From here, we'll spin around. I guess you're not facing me, so you don't really have to spin around, do you? I'm going to spin around for tradition purposes with your feet at the back of the mat. And go ahead and release all the way back. Switch receiver toward the camera. All right, all the way onto your back like we found in the beginning. We're going to take our reclined twist, taking the arms out to the sides. They can be a T shape, they can be a goalpost shape. Picking up the feet, release your knees to the right, and turn the head toward the left. So we could let the legs land onto something, or if the low back is uncomfortable with the knees together, we could take something between the knees. Noticing if left hip or top hip wants to hitch up toward left chest or shoulder. Try to sit the hip toward the back of your mat. Side long, just like in pyramid, figure four, and revolve triangle. And press the right arm into the ground. Take the knees back up. We'll switch sides. If you need to, you can always shift where hips or pelvis lands. We can adjust our props. Release the knees to the opposite side, perhaps the left side. Head can turn to the right side, opposite of the knees. And press the left arm into the ground. Take the knees back up and remove any props. We'll plant the left footprint to the floor, right ankle over left thigh, coming back into figure four, second pass or third if you count our figure four chair. Hands around left leg, bringing left knee toward left shoulder or left chest. Right knee away from right shoulder. Release left foot and right foot back to the ground. Switching left ankle over right thigh, left knee away. Right knee toward right shoulder, toward the chest. And release right foot and left foot back to the floor. Back to our bridge pose from the beginning. We're going to take this static, not dynamic, not moving. Arms will stay down on either side of the torso. Anchor the feet, the shoulders. As you inhale, lift hip points, hip creases. Bringing the back bend into the legs where it's a little more challenging, and keep that mindful strength back through the navel. And exhale, release spine, release hips, back to the floor. Hug the knees up into the chest. Left knee stays into the chest. Inhale, extend right leg out, flex the foot toward the back of the mat. Exhale, right knee back into the chest. Left leg, inhale, extend out. Exhale, back in. Inhale, extend right leg out, keeping it out. It can stay straight out if that feels okay in the hips and low back. If you'd prefer, we can plant the right foot as we're going to extend left leg up to the ceiling, left foot up, right foot to the floor, or right leg outstretched. We'll circle through left ankle. And circle into the opposite direction. And bring left knee and right knee back to the chest. Rest for a moment. Right knee stays to the chest. Inhale, extend left leg out, foot flexed away straight. Or plant the left foot as we'll take right footprint up to the ceiling. Holding on to the back of the leg, circling through right ankle. And circle into the opposite direction. And relax, bring right knee and left knee both back to the chest. Feeling the compression of the legs on or toward the abdomen. Aware of the low back curve. Rounded and soft at the moment. Go ahead and extend the arms and the legs up for bug pose, Megan's favorite. Allow the arms to hang into the shoulders, legs to hang into the hips. Hands and feet can be relaxed. Elbows and knees a little soft, just enough strength to stay lifted, but relaxing into the floor, into hips and shoulders. And hug the knees into the chest. Take your preferred shape for happy baby. We can pull the knees wide like a wide leg child's pose shape. Our yin variation, hold on to the tops or the inside of the ankles. Pardon, my mic keeps slipping. I hope you can hear me. And let the legs hang from the arms. Only grip is in the hands. If you'd like, feet can flex to the ceiling. Hands to pinky toe edges. Elbows stay inside the knees, but hands to the outside of the feet. So we're crossing in front of the shins with the arms. And add on any additional shapes or poses you'd like, repeating anything we've done, adding anything the body is asking for. We'll take the soles of the feet together and let the knees release wide to reclined butterfly. If you'd like, we can take our blocks to the outside of the knees so the legs don't need to release all the way to the floor. Hip joints, the shape of them, they're really not made so that the legs can get to the floor. If that was your goal, just let that go. Legs can stay open, relaxing through the hips, or prop to release. And when you're ready, make yourself as comfortable as you can be for Shavasana. We could take a rolled up towel, mat, if you have an additional mat, blanket, a pillow underneath your legs so that they're a little bit bent. Some people like to use blocks if you have them. Anything that helps bend the knees a little bit so that the low back can be comfortable. Hamstrings are not stretching to straighten the legs out. You can take this in a seat. You might take a very thin pillow or very rolled up thin blanket underneath your head if you'd like for a slight cushion. I'm going to do it seated. Don't mind me. You make yourself as comfortable as you can be. And when you're ready, with hips and legs or whole back surface of the body landing to the floor, be aware of the spaces that are landing into the ground. Aware of every point of contact, whole back surface of the body. Exhales into points of contact, bottom surface, back surface of the body, whether it be whole back of the legs, torso and arms, or into the seat and into the legs. Exhales into the floor. Inhales, feel the floor, your mat, your cushion rise up to hold whatever points land into the ground. Exhales, release into your support. Inhales, feel held, supported by whatever you're resting on. Become aware of the length and speed of the breath without changing, without interfering. Simply observe how the breath moves, what shape it's in now compared to the beginning of our practice or early in the day. Hopefully your physical practice has distracted the mind, has pacified any tension in the shoulders, the jaw, or any internal tension you've been experiencing. Aware of the breath at the smallest point, the innermost point you could imagine at navel center. Inhaling a slight expansion outwards from this point. And exhales to collect back into the innermost, smallest point you can imagine at the navel. Observing the inhale with expansion. And observing exhale, collecting and releasing. Picture as though an orange glow is at this point at the navel. As you inhale, expanding this glowing light a little wider. And as you exhale, concentrate and collect this glowing light back into innermost point at the navel. Inhaling, expansion outwards, healing, golden, expansive throughout whole torso. Every inhale a little wider throughout whole body, whatever shape you are resting in. Slowly feel this light, this glow move throughout whole physical shape. Past the physical, a little wider than knee. If you'd like, taking this glowing, expansive light into a specific space in the body. Whether it be the heart, the mind, a physical space that could use a little extra attention, nourishment, and healing, an injury, whether it be physical or emotional. Allowing this golden healing light to rest at this space, and it can be whole being. It can be above the head, wherever it resonates most with you, or keep it at the navel through whole being. Return to the intention you had set at the beginning. How would this intention feel throughout whole physical body, throughout every layer of the mind? Resting in the essence of this intention. If you'd like to stay resting on your back for a little while longer, you are welcome to. If you'd like, we can come into a tall seat. Continuing to focus this shape, this breath at navel center with your attention, whatever resonated most with you. Lying down or in a seat, continue to rest with breath, intention, and in this peace and stillness we have all been needing and craving. Remembering that even though there may be chaos outside of us, this innermost point of stability, innermost point of truest, all-knowing self are always there, even if other things may talk louder. If the mind is pulled in all directions and we can't seem to bring it back, take your awareness inwards to focus on breath, intention, this inner knowing, inner stability, inner clarity. Taking note of your breath as you move throughout your day, pausing if it speeds up, pausing if it hitches, or if we don't feel like we're having a full inhale or full exhale. Observing your thoughts, your actions, and learning from them. Starting to be able to predict habitual thoughts or actions, modifying them if we need to. And always knowing you can come back to this space of inner stillness. You're welcome to rest for a little while longer on your back or in a seat. But for now, our practice is complete. Thanks for joining tonight, guys. Thank you. This is about an hour or so. This will be saved. You can come back to this later. I'm going to keep it on my page. And yeah, we'll have some more Zoom on tomorrow and Thursday morning. And chair yoga on Senior Circle page at 12:30 on Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.